I'm Alexandra. This is my journal 2, musical geography, and I apologize for the poor lighting. Given the diverse communities across the five boroughs and the tri-state area, New York City has fostered a wide variety of musical styles. One of the most exciting styles of music, in my opinion, is New York rap, alternatively known as East Coast hip hop. Up in the Bronx emerged New York rap, and in this journal, I will focus on the defining characteristics and the start of New York rap, beginning at 1520 Sedgwick Avenue, the birthplace of hip hop, in the summer of 1973. Additionally, I will focus on the artist Grandmaster Flash and the Apollo Theater as my venue. Beginning in the 1970s, the origins of New York rap can be traced to the South Bronx. For a variety of reasons, the Bronx was and still is an echoing place for cultural diversity. In their book, Immigration and American Popular Culture, Rachel Lee Rubin and Jeffrey Melnick highlight the rich cultural diversity of the Bronx. In his research on the evolution of the South Bronx, Demetrio Lini argues that the boom in cultural life and its contradictions was an ideal place for the development of hip hop culture and rap. The Bronx has become one of the most diverse parts of New York City following the economic collapse. After post-World War II economic boom, the period of economic decline was accompanied by extremely high crime and arson fires, basically destroying most of the Bronx. So it forced the majority of its population, which was mostly white at the time, to move outside the Bronx and they kind of fled into the suburbs. Furthermore, the elongated economic decline drove unemployment and poverty rates way up in the city. So while the majority of New York City's population, which was white, moved out of the city, the identity of the Bronx grew more diverse, hailing in the majority of Black and Puerto Rican population. Um, with this boom in diversity from Black, Caribbean, and Latino people, there was a natural increase in cultural diffusion. Of course, this included the circulation of different upbeat music styles from the islands, from the Caribbean, and other more tribal places. It was said that hip hop was born at a block party in the summer of 1973. On August 11th, 1973, Sydney Campbell and her brother Kive Campbell, whom I will refer to as DJ Kool Herc, threw a back-to-school party. While this party was to raise funds for a new back-to-school wardrobe, it was the start to New York rap and hip hop. So at 1520 Sedgwick Avenue in the West Bronx, DJ Kool Herc demonstrated the beauty of cultural diffusion in music by playing mixes of soul and funk over his Jamaican-style sound system. With the success of this event, not only for raising funds for the back to school wardrobe, but also for the birth of hip hop, the idea of the block party was popularized. So you could think of this as the first like informal venue for New York hip hop. So some of the defining characteristics of hip hop include DJing, rapping, and a strong flow, which complements the unity and love that is fostered in Bronx's diverse communities at these casual block parties. I grew up in Brooklyn and I have fond memories of we have block parties all the time in the city. So it was really fun to read more about this in the Bronx. So I'd like to focus today on the artist Grandmaster Flash. So he was born in 1958 as Joseph Robert Sadler, and he is central to the birth of hip hop. He is a Barbadian American musician, so he immigrated with his family from the island of Barbados, and he is a musician and DJ, and he is acclaimed for creating the quick mix theory, which I will talk about in my next slide. He is a leader and creator of the music group Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, which is the first rap group actually to be inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which is it was in 2007. So in my research, I found that his music is great for parties. I've researched him in the academic sense, but I've also listened to music in the past by him. So it was great to get some more context on his music and the theories that he used for mixing and DJing. So his music was great for parties, is still great for parties, especially the more casual block parties that would be full of dancing by professional break dancers, and then we have the average party goer. And as I just mentioned, Grandmaster Flash was the inventor of the quick mix theory, and this innovative theory is a part of his attempt to make music and parties more interesting and upbeat for dancing. So in a quote, he talks about that this theory can like drive the audience and drive the energy, which I think is super interesting and innovative. And so a little bit more on the quick mix theory. So yes, I include the a part of the quote. So to do this, he creates a continuous loop of a break of a song by switching between two identical songs, and it looks sometimes like putting his finger on a vinyl and looping parts of it, kind of like reminiscent of scratching the vinyl. So this helped launch the phenomena of sampling music and other songs, which we get a lot of now. And I will talk about that in a second when I highlight two of his songs. So I think it's especially interesting to think of the evolution of New York hip hop as well as Grandmaster Flash when I look at two of his songs. So I'm going to talk first about the message and then the adventures of Grandmaster Flash and On the Wheels of Steel. So the message is a song that stays close to the roots of New York hip hop. It is a narrative-driven song as it provides genuine insight into the lives of people living in the Bronx during the late 20th century, dealing with things like poverty, unemployment, and crime, highlighting issues concerning race as well. So as I mentioned before, that we think about the beginnings of hip hop and it coming out of the economic collapse where poverty and unemployment and crime kind of skyrocketed, and we're getting artists that are getting frustrated with these issues and putting it into music. And this is one of the main features of The Message from 1982. So in terms of the music, the musical style in the song, it's relatively minimalistic. So it has like a steady beat and it is like the narrative driven song, and it alternates between rapped verses and singing, which alongside it has a lengthy instrumental introduction. So in the same year, he released The Adventures of Grandmaster Flash on the Wheels of Steel. I love that title. I think The Wheels of Steel is pretty iconic. So this is a manifestation of Flash's career as a DJ. So it's an extended DJ mix. You can really grasp what he means by the quick mix theory. I didn't know the specific theory or the name, but I've definitely heard it. And this puts that on a pedestal, and you could seriously understand and appreciate the quick mix theory. So it's heavy on the DJing and the turntable skills. Um, so he demonstrates his theory with consistent breaks and crossfades. So in this song, he also remixes and samples several songs, which I said is a defining aspect of the quick mix theory, including but not limited to Good Times by Chic and Another One Bites the Dust by Queen. So, by including several styles of music like disco, funk, rock, and rap, The Adventures of Grandmaster Flash and the Wheels of Steel highlights the nature of New York hip hop as being the product of cultural diffusion, which is what makes New York so unique, what makes New York hip hop so unique is because it has this rich cultural background that stems from all over the United States and all over the world, which is incredible. And that's why this music is so good, in my opinion. So, one of the most famous music venues in the world and in New York City is the Apollo Theater. I've actually never been there, but it opened in March of 1914 on 253 West 125th Street. So, it's close to the Bronx. So as the Apollo Theater acclaims that it celebrates, creates, and presents the work that centers Black artists and voices from across the African diaspora. So the Apollo Theater had granted and continues to grant young and upcoming African Americans and other people of color in music the opportunity to catapult their careers and become serious in the industry. I read that Grandmaster Flash had the opportunity as a young artist to kind of catapult his career in the 1970s. It was clear that a lot of the creativity happened on the streets. It happened on at these block parties, and this is why it's so like lively and creative, and a lot of different people from all different backgrounds can appreciate it. But the Apollo Theater was kind of professionalizing that, which we can get into arguments and debates about the commercialization of these cultures, which we've talked about when we did like blues, and there's all like the race, whiteness, and it's kind of those things we have to balance. But the Apollo Theater, I would say, did a very good job at putting allowing these young artists, upcoming artists that wanted a chance but wasn't were not given it in a professional standpoint, and it for many people it has done them very well. And that is my presentation on New York rap and hip hop. So hope you enjoyed and thank you.